Hi, I'm Tammy at Simply Set Free, and today we're talking more about sentimental clutter and how do we make those decisions on whether to keep an item or let it go. Now we're talking about items that carry a special memory, maybe a memory of a time we had in the past, or maybe someone gave that item to us and so we have a memory of that person when we look at that item. So when it comes to the decluttering process, we have some choices to make. In the first video, we talked about some tips and some ideas to help you in this process. Today, I want to share with you some middle ground options because I think sometimes we think, oh, I only have two choices. I either have to get rid of it or keep it. And sometimes I think we end up defaulting to the keep it mode because we just don't want to let it go. We don't want to get rid of them. But there's some middle ground options, and that's what I want to talk about with you today. Okay, so this first option is one that you need to be very cautious with how often you implement it. And I'm going to explain why in just a minute. But this first option is to repurpose your item into something that is more practical in your home. Pinterest has a lot of great ideas in this area. For instance, you can take some old doilies and make beautiful artwork for your wall. Or you can take some vintage suitcases and create an end table. Another idea that's really popular is to take some items of clothing from a loved one and make that into a quilt. Now here's where you need to be careful. Implementing some of these ideas can be very, very time consuming. Even if you're to hire out someone to, for instance, to make the quilt, it's going to take time to be able to research this project. You've got to be able to find someone. You have to help her design the quilt and so forth. So realize it does take time. But there are a lot of ideas that can be implemented really quickly. For instance, using an old sifter, an antique sifter, you can make a planter out of this, or put some artificial flowers in it and you've got a beautiful centerpiece for your coffee table, or even using some antique tins in this same way. So this is one great idea. I think it's really a lot of fun, especially if you like antiques. Option number 2 is don't be afraid to utilize items in the way that they were originally intended. I think sometimes we're afraid of breaking something or letting it wear out, and so we don't want to use it. We want to preserve it. So we box it up and we put it away so it doesn't get broken. Well, I want to encourage you to pull some of those things out and utilize them. If you like them and it reminds you of somebody, why not use it and think about that person every day? For example, this is a bowl that was in my grandparents' kitchen when I was growing up, and every time I would come over to visit, my grandfather would often make French toast for me in this bowl. And so I have used this in my kitchen in the last 20 years, and every time I pull it out I think about my grandfather, and it's really special, and I'm so glad I can remember him almost every day with having this in my kitchen as opposed to keeping it in storage somewhere. Option number 3, if you have a collection of something, say some old coins or antique cameras or perhaps some teacups, consider keeping just one or maybe 2 or 3 and then display them in a prominent place in your home and then get rid of the rest. Option number 4 is to think about a family member or a friend who would really enjoy using the item. But just a word of caution, be sure to give them the freedom to say no, because the item that is special and sentimental to you might not be as special to them. So give them that freedom and don't expect them to appreciate it as much as you do. Option number 5 is to send that item on a journey to meet a practical need. Think about who gave you that item and perhaps a charity that was special to them. Wouldn't it be great to honor their memory by giving that item to that charity? Okay, so I've saved the best for last. This last option I want to encourage you to utilize as often as you can because it really is a good one, guys. And that is to take a digital photograph of the item before you let it go. That way you can preserve that memory and look at it whenever you want. There are so many great ways to utilize digital photography these days. For example, take a picture of your kids' artwork. And not just the artwork, but take a picture of the artwork with them holding it so you can remember exactly how old they were and what they looked like when they made that item. And then take those digital photographs and display them in a digital photo frame in your living room. What a great way to preserve those memories. Another idea is if you have a collection of, let's say, some antique cameras, take a picture of each of those cameras and then display those as wall art in your living room. Okay, there are so many ideas in this area, and I want to encourage you to use this option as often as you can. Well, thanks so much for joining me, guys, today, and if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I have much more to share with you, and I'm excited about the future. So thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time.